If everyone would turn your mics on, please.
Buy the equipment. Come in behind Lowery. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and in honor and memory of Jimmy Buffett, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Matter of fact, right here. So let's open this meeting up, and I'm going to ask Travis McBride if he will lead us in prayer, and then Vice Mayor Alser will lead us in the pledge before we get started.
Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for this beautiful city and state we live in. And Lord, we just ask you to be with this board, help us make decisions in your light. And we say these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please rise as you're able and join me in pledge allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get started, I want to citizens' comments. You have a 3-minute limit to address the board. Mr. Young. For people who don't know you, state your name and then we'll roll.
Yes, sir. Bob Young, and I'd like to thank Mayor Lowery and the board for allowing me to speak. I think you have on your agenda ordinance 23963. Feel very responsible for that because, as you know, we're working on plan development in adjacent to Gillen subdivision, in which the original design of that subdivision, that development, consisted of low-pressure sewer, which is something that's not prevalent within the community. And appreciate Ms. Tyndall setting up a meeting with your city engineer. Had discussion with him this afternoon, learning about the various complexities of the sewer system, sewer in general, putting plans together and bringing forward the board for the planning commission and ultimately approval of the board for developments. And so last know that you had done first reading on this ordinance back in July, and just based on the conversations today, obviously we're having to go back and revisit our design, trying to accommodate the sewer system here in White County, in Sparta, but also being conscious of the economics of what it will take to put this development in place and to bring it about the way it was planned. So this afternoon I spoke with my engineer that regarding some of the outcome from that meeting, and not sure if this ordinance, if this is something that you might want to consider tabling again for another meeting, because there may be some things coming out of this that, based on what my engineer is able to do and how we address this, you might want to consider looking at that ordinance again, just depending on how you want to proceed with allowing low pressure sewer to be hooked up to the existing gravity system. So just ask you to consider that tonight. It is not going to affect our development and where we're at to whether this ordinance passes on second reading tonight or not. It may just give a little room for reconsideration, further discussion on that as we introduce something new, and we don't want to do anything that would cause negative impact on the city or any of its infrastructure. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board at this time? There are none. We'll move on to item number 2, ordinance number 23-963, an ordinance to amend Title 18, Chapter 1, Section 103 of the Sparta Municipal Code regarding sewer grinder pumps, second and final reading. This was tabled once already.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. And second. All right, the motion is to approve this ordinance regarding sewer grinder pumps. Any questions, comments, discussions from the board right now? Any questions?
So do we want to, talk about what the engineer said or anything, or does it affect our system or something? Or
You
what?
can ask any, it does affect our system. Do y'all want my opinion? My opinion is, and Dillard can address this as well, I think that we need to pass this tonight. This is my opinion. You're your own vote. The grinder pumps create another problem within our sewer systems that, and possibly right now we can accept it with our sewers as the way it is. We're under, if you will, the eyes of TDEC right now with this sewer moratorium, and everything we do with that is a problem. One of the things with the grinder pumps that I have and I don't know where this will go with the EPA and TDEC, but it creates an ammonia level. TDEC, Dillard, you can jump in anytime you need to. TDEC has already cut our ammonia levels at our sewer plant in half, and if that continues to grow, and what's happening is high ammonia levels released into the aquatic system kills fish, environmental things, and that's what TDEC and the EPA is concerned about. And then if we were to allow the grinder pumps to be added to our system in 10 years, they change their deal. They don't like how much ammonia levels we're putting in, and then they shut our sewer down. And I told Mr. Young this morning, that I just don't feel it's in the best interest of the city of Sparta to accept grinder pumps at this time for that reason, because I cannot put my trust in what EPA and TDEC is going to rule on with environmental issues in 5 to 10 years, and then put the city of Sparta under some serious issues that we can't even foresee right now. That's my opinion. Y'all can ask any questions you want to.
Passing this tonight, if it was needed to be modified, we can always go back and modify it, as I understand.
Yes, and also in this is also a if there is a need that we have to accept grinder pumps. This is not banning all grinder pumps. If there's the examples used today, if there's a house sitting on the side of a riverbank that we need to somehow get sewer up here, and we're in a sinkhole or down really low, and the gravity system is not working, then we can approve that to go up. We're not going to be mass accepting all grinder pumps, and so there's an out for grinder pumps if the city approves it. So it's not like we're just banning it all, but we are keeping our eyes on it closer. And listen, I'll say it again, we send reports in monthly right now with TDEC, right? They're watching every move we make, and I just don't think this is good for the city of Sparta in the future. That's my opinion, but I'm one vote.
Thanks.
Dealer, you have anything to add to that?
What Jerry talked about is the ammonia levels have been cut in half as far as our testing. So it does make it tougher when you have pumps that as many as what we're talking about. We do have 32 pump stations, but most of those pump stations go quite regularly. They pump every day. Some of the pumps that will be in the system that's been designed will cause more ammonia because they're not going to pump every day, and the more it sits there, the more ammonia that it generates. So it's entirely up to you guys.
The other side is we're not against this development. I just don't think it's in the best interest of all the citizens of Sparta because this development is well needed. There's a housing shortage. There's lots that we need, and that's going to help fulfill that need as well. But I do think there's other alternatives, that some of the gravity-fed systems and things like that that we can do to still allow this to happen. Any more questions or comments? We're voting to pass this regulation on second reading. It passed the first reading, was tabled, and then here we sit again. So this would be the second reading and final reading if passed. Roll call vote.
Alderman Floyd?
Yes.
Alderman Jones?
Yes.
Alderman McBride?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Officer?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
Mayor Lowery?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 3, ordinance 23-964, authorizing the rezoning of portion of Millers Point Road from RA to CD, Commercial D on first reading.
Where is that?
It's right,
Said me.
right beside Brian Jones, right, turn left at Finley Church of Christ. It's like, right behind Sewell's house,
Okay.
right there, right in that little section. Michael Wanders, well, I can't say nothing yet. I'm not supposed to talk till we have a motion in a second.
Motion.
We got a motion and a second. Now, any discussion or questions? That's the only lot right there that's not zoned that, is that correct? In that whole section?
That's the only lot that joins Millers Point Road that is a residential A zone.
Okay.
The rest are CD.
Okay. All right, any questions, comments? Roll call vote.
Alderman Jones?
Probably should abstain since it's a conflict of interest.
Alderman McBride?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Officer?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
Alderman Floyd?
Yes.
Mayor Lowery?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 4, resolution 23-586 to establish a policy for standard water and sewer utilities specifications.
Motion to approve.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any questions or comments?
Dillard, could you come up and explain what this is? I talked to you earlier, and maybe you can explain to the board.
This is just specifications for anyone to come in and build onto our systems. It tells them what pipe, what grade of pipe, what we expect on our roadways, what's out of the road. I mean, it's just to let everyone know, this is, if you're gonna do a development, this is what you gotta have for the city to accept the.
So there's just basically an upgrade of what we already got in
Yes,
place.
we've got one that's 2005, isn't it, Tanya? It just needs to be updated. It's been 18 years since the last one. We've talked to Alton. We're gonna try to do this, at least every 7 years possibly, just to keep it updated, because there's new products coming out all the time. So we're just trying to do our due diligence to make sure everybody knows what we're supposed to be using.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Roll call vote.
Alderman McBride?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Officer?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
Alderman Floyd?
Yes.
Alderman Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Lowery?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 5, approve the low bid for seal coating and striping of parking lots. You have them there, and I'll let, I'll wait for that. Y'all have that low bid right there in front of you.
Motion to approve.
Motion and second.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call vote? No, yeah, that's right, roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Officer?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
Alderman Floyd?
Yes.
Alderman Jones?
Yes.
Alderman McBride?
Yes.
Mayor Lowery?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Along the same lines, approve the low bid for street striping of the roads that we paved. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second.
Speak, please.
Yes.
Okay. The measurements that we took, that's lineal mile, $475 per lineal mile. Just in case my guys come up with the wrong measurements, and this guy has a line mile meter on his truck, could we probably run that to 35 or 36,000, just in case we have discrepancy in the wheel, because we had a wheel on all these streets. So it's over 10 miles of road, and that wheel could have not clicked like it should. I mean, even though it was a new wheel, I just want to make sure that we don't have to come back to you guys in case it's, $34,800, because when we write the check, it's gonna have to be for 34,347.25
Right.
maximum. So if we could go to 35 or 36, that way if our measurements are off, then we won't have to come back.
Do you think 35 will cover it, or does it need to be 36?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think the wheel, I mean, like I said, it's a brand new wheel, but it's, 10 and a half miles of road. So,
Could
I
it
mean,
be that just approve it as 475 per mile
Right.
we could do that. I mean, I just
instead of
Yeah.
saying
want to
a
make sure
number?
that we don't, that we don't, when we go over, if we go over, we have to come back and have you guys approve it again, is what I'm getting at.
That's the easiest way to
So
do
I
it.
think-
no-
Okay,
So the motion is to approve the 475 a mile, and that way what it comes out to will be.
yeah, because it could be less. It could be 33,000, I mean, depending on,
Yeah.
And that's the bid anyway, total.
Yeah.
That's what it is, so.
Yeah.
Good job, Brian. All right, roll call vote.
Alderman Payne,
Yes.
Alderman Young,
Yes.
Alderman Floyd,
Yes.
Alderman Jones,
Yes.
Alderman McBride,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Officer,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Approve, number 7, approve the low bids for purchase of a 300 horsepower motor and vertical pump for the water plant.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. We've had this discussion before. Does anyone have any questions? Roll call vote.
Wait, can I ask one
yes.
quick question? So it says not quoted for the install. Do y'all install it yourselves?
well,
Or-
what's gonna have to happen is our guys will help install it, but we do have a local contractor out of Livingston that normally pulls and puts motors back in for us. So there will be some more expense to this. I'm not sure exactly how much, but at this price quote for the motor and, pump, I mean, surely we can get it put in for,
50,000?
yeah, I'm hoping, so,
Right.
we'll just have to see.
How long
Yep.
does it take to install?
Usually a day and a half, but, the company that's got the low bid said that they would give us the measurements and the ability to put it in the ground, in the well, the right, correct depth. The guy we normally use, has done this several times, so we should be able to get it done.
That's a
Lot cheaper-
huge,
lot cheaper than, $94,959, so.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
all right, roll call vote.
Alderman Young,
Yes.
Alderman Floyd,
Yes.
Alderman Jones,
Yes.
Alderman McBride,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Officer,
Yes.
Alderman Payne,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, authorize a solicitation of bids for tree trimming services for the electric department.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Belva, do you want to discuss this or anything? We're just going to take bids for the tree trimming, the current,
Yeah, the current one, our last contract was with White County Tree Service. That was in 2018, so, or 2017, I'm sorry, March of 2017. There was a consumer price index increase on there in 2021, but he says he can't do it for the same quote that he gave us back then, so that's why we're having to put it out for bids.
and you're only allowed that one consumer price index one
Yeah, and
time.
we did it already, so.
So that's already done, so it has to go out for bids.
Yep.
Any questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? And carries. Number 9, department head reports. Any questions for Belva? We'll start with Belva. None? Codes, Mr. Mike O'Neill.
Mike, when you think the restaurants are gonna be back open?
Burger King was, excuse me, they were shooting for the end of September. And they're moving along at a good pace. They'll probably make it within plus or minus a week.
What about the Granny's ice cream?
They should be doing sheet rock and finishing out, and once they do that, they'll be paving next, and they plan to go for soon as well.
Looks good, doing a good job.
If you want a historic picture of the bank across from Walgreens, you better go this weekend and take it. Because they're starting demo Monday, is that correct?
I told them they could start in the morning if they wanted to.
You might go after you leave here.
They
They're
got a lot of
demoing
equipment
that
sitting
out.
there, I noticed on the way through.
Yeah, so, a Circle K. But anyway, that's happening
Where is this exactly?
across from Walgreens.
It's a blue building.
Yeah, all right. Any questions for Dillard?
I got a question for Dillard. I talked to him about it the other day. He's got down here installed new sump pump at Crag Rock Pump Station, full of wipes, but also says station needs replacing. Do we need to go ahead and you get a bid out to replace that, or what do we need to do?
Well, I was just trying to make sure you guys were aware. That's one of the things we need. We have several other stations that we need to replace. That one's probably in the most dire strait that we have. We have repaired it as of now, but we don't have any. We don't have any English either. There's not a wet well on that pump station.
Okay.
So there's no storage capacity. So once we do decide to repair that one, it'll have to be replaced. I've got, like I said, I've got 4 others that need to be replaced as well. Just making sure that Alton knows the CDBG is not going to cover this wet well or pump station, but the other grants that we have should cover.
Could
Yeah.
cover them? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Dillard? All right, got electric. Fire chief, any questions for, been very busy this month. No questions?
How come you were at, what did they say? What's his grant?
Oh,
Sam Walton. So many times.
Their system was malfunctioning. They were doing some remodel.
Okay.
Next year, they're gonna be doing some major remodel, they told us. So, they had something in the back that was failing, and it was just triggered by just a little drip pressure from their, system.
It got real hot too this summer, or this last month too, real hot. Caused some heat sensors to go off.
all right, any questions for police department? If you'll notice his, you gotta love it. Total calls in August for police department was 665 plus 1. I'm not gonna put that number down. Oh, boy, it's great.
Chief, you got down here working on Handle with Care program being implemented in schools. What is that?
The Handle with Care program is it's a state-funded assistance program, I guess you could say. When we, fire, EMS, any emergency services go to a call, so to speak, say we go to a wreck, mom's injured, kid's in the car, they've had a pretty rough night. It's a little barcode that we put on the computer, on the window, we can scan it. What it'll do is it'll send whatever representative at the school a notice saying, hey, if they're acting a little off or they need a little extra help, they're acting weird, kind of gives them a little more assistance in school, gives them a little grace, if that makes sense.
Okay.
If they need to talk to somebody
Yeah.
extra or whatnot, it just gives everybody a heads up of what's going on without going into too much detail.
Okay.
It's a neat program to know, and I know my background in education, when you have so many students that are dealing with a lot more than we, at a 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 15-year-old ought to be dealing with at that time. And then they're having a bad day at school, they're not doing their work, or their homework wasn't turned in, and kind of find out there's a series of events that created that. And it just helps the teacher and the counselors realize, yeah, it's a good thing.
Thanks, Chief.
Any questions for Miss Tanya Tyndall, our city administrator? You're getting by lucky. They don't talk to you much. All right. With that said, any new business? There is one thing that we need to bring up. So I'm sitting at the house 2 days ago, and I get this picture of like 50 buckets in the room in there, and it's raining inside more than it is outside. And so our roof is in bad, dire need, and if you walk in there, you'll see some of it. So Tanya said, please, we need to get a new roof. So we need to start taking bids for looking at this roof. And Dillard brought up something really interesting today that I wasn't thinking about. There's a possibility that we probably need to look at, as they're looking at this roof, looking at the central heat and air system. How old is it? 1964? When was the last thing was upgraded? Do y'all know?
No, it's been upgraded, but since then, for sure, but, the complete overhaul was probably done about 18 years ago.
The reason is if we've got a rooftop unit, if we put a new roof on and don't touch that unit and then it goes bad, then we're tearing a new roof off and cutting holes and stuff to repair that. So I think we need to look at it as one big project altogether. And that's probably what we need to take bids on. It'd probably be 2 separate bids, probably.
Does someone need to make a motion for Tanya to do that? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions about that?
What is the motion?
To take bids to look at replacing the central heat and air system on the roof and a new roof.
Okay.
There was a hole in it the size of that Coke bottle today, or that water bottle when they found up there today. For some odd reason, I don't know why. But
Just
anyhow,
like straight through?
it was like where the rubber and all that stuff has dried up and separated and made a big crack in the wall. And so, and what was the guy's exact words? He come back and said that roof is awful.
Yeah. But it's gonna have to be replaced, and it actually went through the floor to the lobby downstairs too, so it's come through all of the floors, cause the ceiling in the lobby has fallen in from what has happened in here. So it's going down through the floor, through the wall, and has ruined the ceiling downstairs too.
But when we do this, should they put the air conditioner in first before they repair the roof then, I would think?
I think.
Would that be the correct way, Dillard?
Yes, because, that's what I was telling Jerry, you will have a different curb because the unit will be different.
Yes.
So if you put a new roof on and then take it off, you're cutting back into a new roof, and
Yeah.
you'll have to get the roofer to come back out here and reseal. So it'd be better to do it all at once, because the unit is just as bad as the roof. I mean, it's been, I think for 10 years now, we've been patching on the roof and the units.
Well, let me ask you, does she need to put a bid out then just for the unit, air conditioning, and then one for the roof?
I think that's what we need to do.
That's what we need to do.
We need-
I'll do 2 separate, but we can do it in one motion, that's fine.
We need
Oh,
2 separate,
okay.
yeah, that's right. And we'll take 2 different bids for the unit and then,
Well, when this building was built, there was no elevator. So that has hindered, whenever they had to do that and put the top up through the roof, that has hindered a lot of that too, but it's just old.
Yeah. It's like me, it's old.
And this is actually in that ARPA money, in the budget, in that money, so it's not like it's, you're having to take it out of fund balance, so it is part of that.
Yeah.
It's budgeted in that ARPA money.
Yeah.
all right. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any other new business from the board? Anything y'all have on your minds? Any old or unfinished business? Update on the caboose. It is to be painted soon.
He'll start next week.
Do you already have the design for it?
Well, he is not doing the design.
Yeah.
He's
He's
just
just
gonna
gonna
do the paint color, and then we will have somebody else come in and y'all decide whatever design y'all want to put on it. He's just gonna do the background color.
It'll be International Harvester Tractor Red with black. There it is.
Something like that.
And then I really think we light it up in 38583 with Sparta, Tennessee, and cursive writing. Make it a photo op spot. And somewhere for Caroline to walk her dogs. All right. Any unfinished business, anything? We've had citizens' comments already. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All right, motion adjourned.
Oh, mine died.
Yeah, we probably need to change batteries.